Hi everybody. I want to talk about a analysis tool called frequency distribution, and the function formula we're going to be using is called frequency, and we're going to use it in this situation that you see on the screen to figure out how many of the numbers that we have here fall into these different ranges. In other words, how many do we have that are between 0 and 10? Or 11 and 20 and so forth. All right. So what you need to do before we make this happen, you have to make sure you got your data, obviously. But then what you do is you set up this thing called the bin range. And basically what it is setting up some progressive numbers in groups the way that you want to see the count. So if you want to see, 0 to 10, 11 to 20, 21 to 30, then you'd set it up like this. If you wanted to see it, maybe 0 to 25, 26 to 50, 51 to 75, that type of thing, then you'd put that in. The key is that you don't really need to have this. You just have to have this. I have this in there just to give the reader the idea of, oh, that's the count of how many numbers we have between 0 and 10, between 11 and 20. But other than that, it's not needed. So once you've got this in place, then what you'll do is you'll then go over to the right-hand side here, and this is where we're going to be putting the formulas in order to do the counting. Now, normally, when you're doing a regular, formula, you type it in, and then you go ahead and copy it down. In this situation, we're going to select all the cells that we want the formula to be in. We'll type in the formula, and then we'll enter it in a certain way. All right, so it's a little bit different. It's one of these things where if you stumble across the function and you were able to get most of it done, you probably would not have it complete because you did it all wrong. All right, so, but anyway, this is just one of them. So what you do is you select that range, and then we're going to type in equal, and then FRE, and there's frequency, and we'll double click that. And the first thing it needs to know is the data. So the data that we have here, by the way, just so you know, is survey data. And it's where we took each individual survey and we add up the score of each of the surveys, and each of those numbers then is a survey score. All right, so we got quite a few of them in there. All right, so anyway, so we've got that, and then we'll do a comma. And then it wants to know where your bins are. Well, the bins are these guys here, so we just kind of select that range as well, just like that. Then we go ahead and close it up. And then here's the trick. We do a Control-Shift-Enter, and that puts it right in there for us. And then, so what you end up with then are the counts. So in other words, out of all these numbers, 4 of them range from 0 to 10. 31 are between 11 and 20, and so on and so forth. Pretty cool. Then if you wanted to, you could actually make a simple graph out of it by simply just kind of selecting the top here and all the way down to there. All right. And we just go back into Insert. We go to our graph area here. We'll just do our 3D, or actually just our two-dimensional one here. Click onto that. There's a graph. That's pretty cool. You can then do a double click on any one of the bars, go over into the paint bucket here, go to fill, and we can then vary it by colors. Do that one there. And then you can kind of click up about right here. That's where the title's at, believe it or not. It's a little hidden there, but you click onto that. And we would go and click onto the formula bar, hit equal, and then click on to range, and we're going to use that for our title. And we just go ahead and hit the enter key, and there you go. So that's it. So that's how that one works. So what you'll be able to do is look at this as a graphic and say, okay, well, it looks like most of the scores are in the 60 range, and maybe also in the 30 and 40, and maybe also the 90 and 99 range, I guess, right? So overall, I think you've got a pretty even scoring, except for at the bottom end there, which is good. But other than that, that's what you have. So it's pretty cool. pretty neat way of looking at your numbers by counting how many fall in various ranges. All right, so now we got another one to do, and that's going to be over in this third one here. A little bit different data. These are transactions, and there's quite a few of them in here. And what we want to do is figure out, as far as the totals go, how many of these transactions are less than 15,000, or less than 20,000, or less than 25,000, or less than 30,000, and so forth. I did some special formatting in here, and I'll just show you what I did here. What I did was I did some custom number formatting. What I did is I put in quotation marks the less than and equal to symbols, and then I put a space in there, and then just did this code here, and that pretty much will give you that type of a look. So it's just kind of an interesting thing. It doesn't affect the value at all. It's still 15,000, but it just has some extra text on there. It's pretty cool. And I did that for that range, and I did it for this range as well. So what we've done here is we've set up the bins, and this is where we're basically in increments of 5. And so we're going to do that one first. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go back over to here, and we're going to select that whole range where we want to put that formula. We'll type in equal FRE. There's frequency. We'll double click that. Now the data array, or the range of data, is going to be from here all the way down. So what I'll do is I'll click there, hold down my shift key, my control key, and hit my down arrow key, and that highlights all the way down. We only had, what, a little over, almost 75,000 transactions, so that was a very quick way of selecting all the way down there. And then we're going to use the elevator to pull myself back up again. All right. So then I'm going to do a comma, and then the bins are going to be over here. Now, because the formula is kind of freeloading over this, I'm going to go and start from the bottom and drag that all the way up to the top, just like that. And then I'm going to close off the parenthesis, and then I'm going to do a Control Shift Enter, and there we go. So that is how many transactions fall in that range, in essence. So from 0 to 15,000, and then from 15,000 to 20,000 would be what you see here, and so forth. So pretty cool. All right, so we're going to do it again one more time with the count. So I'll select that range, or I'm not counting, I mean with the cost here, right? So I'm going to select the range, right? I'm going to do equal FR, double click on the frequency, click on this first one, Control Shift down arrow key, and that way I get that all selected. And then I will go ahead and hit my comma, and then the bin range will be from the bottom, and we'll do it up again. There we go. Close off the parenthesis, Control Shift Enter, and voila. So that's pretty telling information. So it's just another way of looking at your data, one of many, I'm sure, but still, I think it's a pretty interesting way of looking at things. So I appreciate you watching the video, and thank you.